Welcome to Zoe Crossdressing. I always thought of myself as a normal guy. Or at least that's the story I told everyone, including myself. My name is Jordan. I'm 27 and work as a marketing coordinator at a mid-level agency downtown. On paper, my life looked pretty solid: a steady job, a comfortable apartment, decent clothes, and a gym membership I rarely used. For the past year and a half, I'd also been dating Emma. Emma was the kind of woman people noticed the moment she entered a room. She carried herself with confidence, sharp suits, bold red lipstick, and her phone almost always in her hand. She worked as a junior executive at a major firm and had the kind of ambition that seemed to light up everything around her. We met at a professional networking event. She liked my humor, and I was completely drawn to her energy and presence. But there was something about me she didn't know, something I'd never told anyone. After our first date, when I returned home that night, I went straight to my closet. Behind a row of winter coats was a locked trunk. I knelt down and opened it, my pulse quickening. Inside were neatly folded blouses, soft undergarments, a couple of inexpensive wigs, and the first pair of heels I'd ever bought. I had been secretly dressing in feminine clothing since I was 16. Over time, I'd quietly built a small collection. It wasn't about pretending to be someone else exactly, it was more about exploring a softer side of myself that I kept hidden from the world. I wasn't proud of it, but I didn't feel ashamed either. Still, I couldn't imagine Emma understanding. She was polished, confident, and always in control. The idea of telling her felt impossible. I could already picture myself stumbling over the words, unable to explain it properly. So I kept it hidden. 6 months ago, we moved in together, which made everything even more complicated. I had to be extra careful. In the past, I'd dress up when she was away on business trips or weekend retreats with her sister. Now those chances were rare, and the risk felt much higher. If she discovered my secret, I had no idea how she'd react. Maybe she'd break up with me. Maybe she'd laugh, or worse, look at me like she didn't recognize me anymore. But the urge never really faded. If anything, hiding it made it stronger. Sometimes I'd watch her getting ready in the morning, pulling on sheer tights, brushing makeup across her cheeks, buttoning up one of her crisp blouses. It all seemed so effortless for her. Confident. Powerful. Part of me envied that feeling. Meanwhile, I lived 2 separate lives. During the day I was the dependable boyfriend, the guy with a career plan and a friendly smile who remembered Emma's favorite coffee order and joked easily with her coworkers. But late at night, when she was asleep or still at the office, I'd quietly slip into the spare room and open that trunk. For a little while, I'd put on a soft camisole, add a touch of lip gloss, and allow myself to imagine a version of me that didn't have to hide, someone gentler, freer. Everything stayed that way until last week. That's when it all fell apart. It started with a message from Emma, short and unusually blunt. "We need to talk." I know. The words made my chest tighten. My fingers hovered above the keyboard as I typed back, "Know what?" No reply came. Later that evening, she arrived home much later than usual. I heard the sharp sound of her heels crossing the hardwood floor as the door opened. I sat on the couch pretending to browse Netflix, trying to act normal even though my heart was racing. She didn't greet me. Instead, she stood in the doorway, staring. Her lipstick looked slightly smudged, and her expression was hard to read. Finally, she spoke. "Jordan," she said, folding her arms. "I want to ask you something. And I need you to tell me the truth." My stomach twisted. "Okay," I replied quietly. She paused for a moment. Then she asked the question. "Do you like wearing my clothes?" I froze. My lips parted, but nothing came out. The silence between us stretched painfully. She already knew. Somehow, she had discovered everything. "I saw the folder on your computer," Emma said quietly. "The hidden one on your desktop. Photos, videos. Some of them with you wearing my heels, my lipstick, even my dresses. My stomach dropped like the floor had vanished beneath me. Emma, I tried to speak, but she lifted a hand to stop me. I'm not judging you, she said calmly. But I am surprised, and honestly disappointed that you didn't trust me enough to tell me. The strange thing was, she didn't shout. She didn't throw accusations or storm out. Instead, she simply turned and walked into the bedroom, leaving me standing there with my thoughts racing. That was 3 days ago. Since then, she'd barely said anything. But the atmosphere between us had changed. I could feel it. She was distant now, watching me in a way that felt almost analytical. I kept hoping she would forget about it, or maybe forgive me. But tonight, she smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It wasn't kind either. It was the kind of smile that appears just before something big happens. I've been thinking, she said slowly. Maybe you should take a few days off from work. You've seemed stressed lately. I blinked. Yeah. I guess so. Well, she continued, I have an idea that might help. I felt a strange tension build in my chest. A little roleplay, she said. Think of it as a way for you to explore your secret properly. Something about the way she said it made my spine stiffen. I want to help you be the real you, she murmured softly, her voice smooth but edged with something sharper. But you'll have to trust me now, completely. Then she placed a small black box on the kitchen counter. I walked toward it slowly and lifted the lid. Inside were things I had never expected to see, things I had never even imagined owning openly. A sleek black pencil skirt. A pair of sheer nude tights. A delicate lace blouse. Her signature red heels. And resting on top of it all, a gold name tag. I picked it up. Jordana, secretary to Miss Emma Quinn. When I looked back at her, her eyes sparkled with an intensity one couldn't read. Welcome to your new position, she said. The next morning, the outfit was already laid out neatly across the bed, perfectly pressed. Emma had left early. She hadn't told me where she was going or when she would be back. All she left behind was a small note pinned to the blouse. Try it on. I'll know if you don't. My hands shook slightly as I lifted the blouse from the bed. The fabric was soft, pale pink with delicate lace along the collar and cuffs. It looked incredibly feminine, far more elegant than anything I had ever secretly worn before. The pencil skirt looked professional and fitted, exactly like the ones Emma wore when she walked confidently into meetings. And the red heels, they were unmistakably hers. Sleek, pointed, with thin stiletto heels that demanded balance and confidence. For a moment I wondered if this was some kind of test. Or a trap. But standing there, holding those clothes, something stirred inside me. It wasn't fear. Not yet. It was excitement. The same thrill I used to feel years ago when I dressed up alone in my room while no one was home. Except this time, she knew. Maybe she even expected it. I closed the bedroom door and locked it before starting to change. The process was slow. First came the tights. The delicate material slid smoothly over my legs, clinging to my skin like a second layer. I'd never worn anything this fine before. Emma's things were clearly expensive. The fabric tightened perfectly, smoothing everything as it moved upward. Then the skirt. It zipped snugly around my waist, hugging my hips and forcing my posture straighter. The blouse followed, its soft fabric falling lightly over my torso. I turned toward the mirror. The reflection staring back looked both familiar and strange at the same time. My messy hair, my bare face, my broad shoulders, it was still me. But the clothes changed something. They softened the image somehow. Without even thinking, I adjusted my posture slightly. My legs crossed as I sat on the edge of the bed, my head tilting in a way I'd subconsciously seen Emma do many times before. Finally, I reached for the heels. They were nearly 4 inches tall. When I slipped my feet into them, my balance wavered immediately. The glossy red leather wrapped tightly around my feet, forcing me to stand differently. Taller. Straighter. My first step felt awkward. The second was slightly better. By the 10th step, I was managing to move across the room with a strange kind of rhythm. Just as I started feeling an unexpected flicker of confidence, like I was discovering a side of myself I'd never fully understood, I heard the front door open. The sound snapped me back to reality. Panic surged through me instantly. My heart slammed against my chest as I hurried toward the bedroom, the sharp clicks of the heels echoing loudly against the wooden floor. I didn't make it back to the bedroom in time. Emma was already standing in the hallway. She looked me over slowly, her gaze moving from the lace of the blouse to the fitted skirt and finally to the red heels trembling slightly on my feet. I tried to say something, anything, but before I could speak, she raised her phone. Click. A photo. Good girl, she said with a faint smile. That moment changed everything. From that day on, Emma seemed like a different person. And in many ways, so was I. She never mocked me or threatened to expose my secret. Instead, she leaned into it, guiding the situation in a way that felt deliberate and controlled. She began shaping my routines, almost like she was redesigning me piece by piece. You've always seemed more cooperative when you're dressed nicely, she said one morning, handing me a bottle of foundation. Then she added calmly, now that we've stopped pretending, I think you should start working for me. At home. Like a proper secretary. I hesitated. You mean, like a joke? Her expression sharpened. No, she said. Every day. She had already cleared out the small study in our apartment and turned it into an office space. It's yours now, Jordana. She used that name so naturally, as if it had always belonged to me. Every morning there was a new outfit waiting. Stockings, blouses, fitted skirts, and heels, each pair slightly more difficult to walk in than the last. Sometimes there were accessories too, simple earrings, soft lipstick, even a padded bra. Presentation matters, she told me once while fastening a pearl necklace around my neck. If you're going to be taken seriously as my secretary. Surprisingly, she also gave me real work. I organized her schedule, printed documents, and typed up reports from voice memos she sent during the day. The strangest part was that she never told anyone about it. Not her friends. Not her sister. Just like I had hidden my clothes for years, she kept this secret hidden too. As the days passed, I began noticing changes in myself. Not just physically, though that part was obvious. She insisted on skincare routines and lotions, and I became more careful with my posture and movements. Even my walk changed. And, strangely enough, I started anticipating the mornings, wondering what outfit she would leave next. But inside, something felt wrong. Because it wasn't just about expression anymore. It was about control. Emma decided what I wore, when I worked, even when I spoke during our office hours. She was calm and composed about it all, never cruel, but never affectionate either. It felt less like a relationship and more like I had become one of her projects. Then one afternoon, while organizing files in the study, I found something that made my heart sink. A folder labeled Jordana, Compliance Plan. Inside were pages of notes. Bullet points. Plans. Voice training next month. Waxing appointment scheduled. Possible hormone discussion. Remote job applications. Final phase, introduction to friends. I stared at the pages in disbelief. This wasn't just playful experimentation. This was calculated. Whether she had discovered my secret by accident or suspected it for months, I couldn't tell. But now it felt like she was reshaping my life step by step. Part of me was conflicted. A small part of me actually liked the attention, the care she took in selecting outfits, the strange confidence I sometimes felt looking in the mirror. But another part of me was terrified. What if someone else found out? My coworkers. My family. My friends. What would they think? I kept telling myself I should stop. Walk away. End it. Yet somehow I never did. Emma seemed to sense the conflict. Don't pretend you hate this, she said one evening. You enjoy it more than you admit. And deep down, I couldn't fully deny it. When I sat at the desk wearing one of the blouses she'd chosen, typing notes with careful posture, I felt visible. Not to the world. Just to her. But the real test came soon after. One evening she walked in holding a small gray box. I scheduled a Zoom meeting for you tomorrow, she said casually. You'll be taking notes. My eyes widened. Emma. I can't. You can, she replied firmly. She placed the box in front of me. Inside was a lavender blouse with ruffled trim, a matching skirt, pearl earrings, a shoulder-length brunette wig, and a small name badge. Jordana, executive assistant. I've prepared you for this, she said quietly. Don't disappoint me. Then she left the room. The next morning felt eerily quiet. Emma had already gone. No note on the bed this time. No instructions. Just silence. For a moment I considered canceling the meeting. Claiming illness. Saying anything that would avoid it. But I knew Emma well enough to realize she was likely watching, somehow. I opened the box again and looked at the outfit. Each piece felt symbolic of how far things had gone. Slowly, I dressed. The blouse. The skirt. The stockings. The wig. By the time I pinned the name badge onto the fabric, I barely recognized the reflection staring back. Jordana, executive assistant. The meeting began at 9 a.m. Just before it started, my phone buzzed with a message from Emma. Be flawless. I'm recording. My stomach twisted. The laptop camera turned on. I adjusted the angle so only my shoulders and face were visible, like any professional assistant in a virtual meeting. A moment later, the client appeared on the screen. He looked at his notes briefly, then back at the camera. Good morning, he said. You must be Jordana, Emma's new assistant, the man on the screen said. Yes, I replied, lifting my voice slightly the way Emma had taught me. It's nice to meet you. He didn't question it. Didn't hesitate. The meeting simply began. For the next 40 minutes, I did exactly what Emma had trained me to do, typing notes quickly, nodding politely, offering the occasional professional smile. My fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced speed. When the call finally ended, I closed the meeting window and slumped back in the chair, my chest tight with nerves. I had done it. I had passed. For a brief moment, a strange sense of pride crept in. But it faded quickly. That afternoon Emma came home earlier than usual. She stood in the doorway, sunglasses still on, her phone already raised. Smile, she said. Click. I turned my face away, my heart pounding. I did what you asked. The meeting went fine. I know, she replied calmly. I watched the whole thing. She walked across the room slowly, the sound of her heels echoing on the floor. You're surprisingly good at this, Jordana, she said. Calm. Professional. Convincing. Her lips curved slightly. You might even be better at being my assistant than you were at being my boyfriend. The comment hit harder than I expected. Emma sat across from me and removed her sunglasses. Her gaze was sharp and deliberate. You know what I realized, she said casually. You lied to me for months. You hid who you really were. I started noticing things, missing lipstick, stockings that weren't where I left them, shoes slightly out of place. She leaned closer. But now, she continued quietly, you're finally being honest. My throat tightened. So, this is punishment? She tilted her head. No, Jordana, she said. This is clarity. Then she stood and walked away, leaving her phone on the desk. A moment later the screen lit up. My stomach sank. Curiosity got the better of me, and I glanced down. Emma had uploaded the photo she took earlier, me dressed in full assistant attire, to a private cloud folder. The folder was shared with someone named Lexi, her best friend. When I opened it, my chest tightened even more. There were dozens of images inside. Screenshots from the Zoom call. Photos taken in the hallway. Even close-ups of me applying lip gloss, clearly taken without me realizing. One of them had a caption. Assistant in training. He barely resists anymore. Anger, humiliation, and fear rushed through me all at once. I wanted to confront her, demand answers, maybe even run out the door. But I didn't. Instead, I shut the laptop and sat there in silence. Eventually, the tears came. 2 days passed. Emma behaved as if nothing unusual had happened. She smiled, made coffee, even brushed her hand gently against my cheek one morning. She let me wear something slightly more comfortable too, a soft sweater dress and lower heels. For a moment, I almost thought she was softening. Then I received an email from her. Subject, staff meeting, Friday 3 p.m. Location, living room dress code, formal attendance, Jordana required. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Staff meeting? I didn't have any staff. My heart racing, I rushed into the bedroom. The outfit was already waiting on the bed. A fitted black dress. Sheer black tights. Red heels. Diamond earrings. A bold red lipstick labeled Power Play. And a note. Take notes like a good secretary. Smile. Be polite. There will be guests. Guests. My breathing became shallow. Friday arrived. I dressed quietly, applying the lipstick with careful hands. The wig was sleek and dark, falling neatly to my shoulders. My posture was straight, every movement deliberate even though I felt like I might collapse inside. The doorbell rang. 3 sharp knocks. When I stepped into the living room, clipboard in hand, Emma was already there sitting confidently on the couch, a glass of wine in her hand. Standing beside her was Lexi. Tall. Stylish. And already smiling like she knew everything. Right on time, Emma said. Lexi laughed softly. Wow. You weren't exaggerating. She walked around me slowly, examining me from every angle. He really does look the part, she said with amusement. I stood frozen. What was the name again? Lexi asked. Jordana, I said quietly. She lifted my chin slightly. Louder. Jordana, I repeated. Emma clapped once. Perfect, she said. Why don't you pour us some wine? I did as she asked. As I stood there pouring drinks with shaky hands, the two of them chatted casually, about work, about gossip, and occasionally about me. Fragments of conversation reached my ears. He used to be Jordan. He actually asked to keep the wig. Look how fast he types now. I stood there behind them, feeling invisible. Then Emma delivered the final blow. Next time we should invite more people, she said lightly. Lexi knows a few friends who'd enjoy meeting my assistant. Lexi grinned. Maybe we give her a little makeover party. They both laughed. My hands trembled so badly that the wine bottle slipped from my fingers. It shattered on the hardwood floor. The room fell silent. Emma slowly stood up. Her heels clicked softly as she walked toward me. Then she leaned close and whispered. Clean it up, Jordana. You're not finished yet. Later that night, after they had gone, I stood in front of the mirror. The dress was still on. My makeup was smudged. The lipstick had faded. The clipboard was still in my hand, my neat notes from the meeting written perfectly across the page. I let it fall to the floor. The wig. The heels. The dress. Who was I anymore? Jordan or Jordana? I didn't know if there was even a difference left. Then I noticed something in the corner of the room. A small red light blinking. The camera. Recording. Always recording. I didn't sleep that night. Even after scrubbing the wine stain from the floor and wiping the makeup from my face, I still felt like I was wearing the outfit. Like someone was still watching. Emma. Lexi. The camera. The red light blinked steadily in the darkness, and one question kept circling in my mind. Who else had already seen the recordings? My thoughts spiraled in every direction. Was Emma collecting these videos like trophies? A private archive of my humiliation? Or was it something worse, evidence she planned to use against me someday? The idea made my stomach twist. For a moment, I considered packing a bag and disappearing. Just leaving everything behind. But where would I even go? And what could I possibly tell anyone? There wasn't anything clearly illegal happening. If I tried to explain the situation, people might laugh, or worse, look at me with sympathy I didn't want. Part of me even wondered if I deserved this. After all, I had lied to Emma. I had hidden things from her. I had broken her trust. Maybe this was her version of justice. But I knew one thing for certain, I couldn't keep living like this. I needed to know what she was planning. The next morning, I waited for her to leave. She had laid out another outfit on the bed like always, but I ignored it. Instead, I pulled on jeans and a hoodie, Jordan's clothes. Jordan's identity. As soon as I was sure she was gone, I hurried to the living room and opened her laptop. The password was easy. Kainum. I had figured that out weeks ago. I quickly navigated to the cloud storage she used. The folder labeled Jordana Files appeared on the screen. Inside were dozens of subfolders. One of them immediately caught my attention. Scheduled release. My chest tightened as I opened it. There was only one file inside. Jordana_secretary_reveal_final.mp4. My hands felt cold as I clicked it. The video started playing. There I was, sitting neatly at the desk in the lavender blouse, heels visible beneath the table, carefully taking notes during the Zoom meeting. But it wasn't raw footage. It had been edited. Polished. Even subtitled. The final scene slowly zoomed in on my face. From somewhere behind the camera, Emma's voice whispered. Say it. On screen, my voice trembled. My name is Jordana, and I belong to Miss Emma now. The screen faded to black as soft music played. I stared at the bottom corner of the window. Scheduled upload, tonight, 8 p.m. platform, YouTube, public. My breath caught in my throat. She was going to reveal everything. Not privately. Publicly. My coworkers. My family. My friends, anyone could see it. It would destroy my reputation in minutes. This wasn't manipulation anymore. It was annihilation. I stood there frozen until a knock echoed through the apartment. One knock. Then two more. Firm. Deliberate. My stomach dropped. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, I crept toward the door and looked through the peephole. My heart nearly stopped. Standing outside was my manager from work, Mr. Callahan. Next to him stood Rachel, my team lead. And behind them, Emma. She smiled calmly, holding a folder in one hand. No, 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 I whispered, stumbling backward. The knocking came again, louder this time. Then her voice drifted through the door. Jordan, sweetheart, we need to talk. A pause. Why don't you come out dressed properly? My knees nearly gave out. She had invited them. Planned this whole thing. Was this the staff meeting she had hinted at? Were they here to fire me? To confront me? Or something even worse? I backed away from the door, my breathing shallow. The laptop screen still glowed on the table behind me. I looked down at myself. Jeans. Hoodie. Jordan. But down the hallway, the closet still held the outfit Emma expected me to wear. The one she had trained me for. Another knock shook the door. This time the handle rattled slightly. Emma had a key. They could walk in any second. I stood there completely still, trapped between two identities. One step toward the closet, and I would become Jordana again. One step toward the window, and I could escape. My eyes filled with tears. I didn't know who I really was anymore. But I knew one thing. Whatever happened next, my secret was about to be revealed to the entire world.